I'm sizzling.
You're sizzling?
No. I do love it. I do love it.
Isn't it nice?
Yes.
And it's not even summer. Not
I
even
have my
summertime.
leaf templates for my class. No, I'm not sizzling as much
It's
as
not
you
quite
are.
the same as sparkling fan. I feel a little Spanish, even though it's from Japan, but I feel a little senorita-like today. That makes
That's
you
right.
sizzle.
Because we are doing sizzling chemistry in
Sizzling.
romance and what it takes to make it happen.
I'm very lucky. I finished a romance book last week, like reading one.
Was
And it was
sizzling?
so sizzly. Like it wasn't sizzly, but well, for me, their chemistry was so sizzly. But it was a very clean, one of those.
Right?
And
Right.
it was sizzly.
I think the number one sizzle for chemistry is the whole delayed gratification. Keep them asking, wondering, and that's perfect for a clean romance too, right? And the hardest thing is to convey chemistry when you're not allowed to have any, well, sizzle. How do you create that tension without the sort of the sizzle going on? But the whole thing is not an, once the contact happens, then you have the sparks and then it dies away, right? So you need to kind of delay it and let it just simmer in the reader's imagination. I love that when I'm reading, when I'm not getting it. So I will stay there for it, right?
Just hang on.
Then the problem is with delayed gratification is you still have to create that tension, that sizzle in the look.
The look. And what are they looking at? It's not boobs. It's like looking at hands, looking at how someone moves, looking at someone's eyes and figuring out the exact color, even if they can't articulate it.
That's right. I think the actions speak a lot more, right? You just feel them moving across his line of vision or her line of vision, and you just sort of sink into that, because anyone can look sizzling, but you got to have the moves for it as well. Now you.
Well, mine is touching. Touch, do not touch. In this book I read, The Irresistible Blueberry Bake Shop and Cafe. So good. She's trying to pick this wildflower. She can't get it off the ground. It's like a hard stem. So he's like, you can't do it like that. And he does it. And then he hands it to her. Not like this. Like gentle. And they barely touch fingers.
Oh,
and
it's just the graze. The grazing.
And then there's one point where he traces her fingers, like not in the same scene, in a different scene, but he just traces her fingers. And it's like, and you read, well, occasionally people will read, erotic fiction romance. Right. And it's not like that. It's not like that. And sometimes you can completely miss, there's delayed gratification again. We can completely miss that connection because it's so graphic and it's not enticing at all. It's just boom, right there.
When you tickle someone, right? If you tickle too hard, they just feel it as discomfort, right? The whole trick to a tickle is that you do it very kind of lightly, so it just makes them squirm. So it is the light touch.
The light touches, the almost touches, just the very nearly touches, and not in a erogenous zone. They're the touches on your shoulder, the touches on your arm, the touches on your fingers between your knuckles. I mean, how crazy, right?
All right, and then just the light touches on the hair.
Oh yeah, the flower off your cheek.
That's right. That's right. Let me smooth your hair.
Let me fix it. Yeah, it's those little touches. Touch, no touch.
So it's still all tied in with that, with the touch. So the slow burn. Did you know in Calgary a romance store has opened and it's called Slow Burn Books?
I follow them. Yes.
We'll have to go into that store, won't we?
Okay, let's go. Let me know. So Slow Burn.
Slow burn.
For all kinds of romance?
Yes, actually it can. I'm thinking years and years ago, and I forget the title, but I read a romance by Lorraine Heath, who's just the grand dame of historical romance. And I was told about this scene from someone else, and I went, oh, I've got to see it in action. male lead, he is doing up, not undoing, doing up her glove. You know those long white gloves with the
With all the
tiny
buttons.
little pearl buttons? And he's doing, and she had pulled them off. Oh my goodness, don't be pulling them off, right?
Mm.
So she had put it on, and of course, I think it was that she couldn't left hand it up. Her maid wasn't with her. And so he was doing it for her, one button at a time, and just those feather touches again. So
Slowly.
that was just yes, that was, it worked so well. And it seemed that, oh wow, he's doing the opposite of what chemistry would imply, right?
Mhm.
But no, it worked just wonderfully. It was a very hot scene.
And nothing was coming off. See?
Yeah,
It's magic.
magic. What else?
Playing a game together. And what has come up in 2 books I've recently read is darts. And they play darts and they both do really well at it, which like wouldn't happen in my world. So I'm lucky I'm married. But they play darts and there's this banter back and forth, and then the shots that miss and the shots that hit. And it's just this competitive experience, but they're kind of on a level playing field and shows how evenly matched they are.
Well, what I
Sizzling.
see going on there is a whole lot of subtext. So the conversation is on one level, but the action is saying something else, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
So that game of darts, is that necessarily a friendly game between the two, or is the way it's very sensory too, right? Because you can just hear that thump,
Mhm.
thump of their competing darts as they amass there on the target.
The one I was reading was Sarah Cade's Kiss Me in the Rain, and they are having this dart game, and he said something to her like, "You don't mess around, do you?" And she's like, "Sometimes I like to mess around," as they're playing darts, right? And he's like, "Oh, good to know." So it's not about competitive darts. It's so
No,
good though. It's such a good scene. And by the end of that, you're just like, oh, you just kiss, and then we'll just finish the book. And it's 2nd or 3rd chapter, right? But it's so good. So good. I love that part.
I think we could have a part 2 of this. But until then, like, comment, subscribe, and do comment to say that you did hang in to the very end. All right.
Bye.
Bye.